Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Let me move this. How are we all doing? We are back. We are back. Nick is back. As in, my husband Nick is back. I'm also back. I'm also Nick, obviously. But yes, we are back. And it feels like I've been away for ages. So welcome, welcome. I hope everyone's had a great Happy New Year. And here we are on the 5th of January already. So we are going to carry on working on our crocodile. So let's get started. Right. I need to think actually as to how I'm going to do this bit. Okay. I'm going to start up here on the head. He's got these weird sort of like, this bit here and this bit here are like two horns. They're considerably darker than the rest of it. Feels really weird to be back. It's good to have Nick back too. He had a really bumpy flight coming over in the storm yesterday. So, but that sort of thing doesn't bother him though. It would bother me, but not him. Right, now let me just have a look. Right, we have these marks that come over the top. One longer mark. Just sort of trying to put in the darker marks first, and then I can sort of work around them. I've been really looking forward to getting back to working on this croc. It's very swiftly turning into one of my favourite pieces. There's just something about it. I think it's because, I mean, it's nice drawing dogs and cats and birds and things like that, but there's something about a croc. I think it's because it's a dangerous animal, right? I mean, you don't mess with crocs. I mean, just look at those teeth for a start. And there's obviously that sort of element that they haven't really changed since like prehistoric times. And it's just, yeah, I really like drawing this threatening animal. Let me think. There's actually a little bit of this greeny gold underneath the brown, so let's put that in first. Of this, this is the nugget. Oh, while I think about it, let me welcome all of my new followers. I had a surge of followers while I've been away. So welcome everybody. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I appreciate your support. Welcome to the channel. I hope there's a little bit here for everybody. So for anyone who's new or unfamiliar, I do coloured pencil art. I do pen and ink art, which I'm really getting into in a big way, which I'm hoping to do more of. And I also do writing streams, purely because that's my day job. I just darken this edge and leave this lighter bit here right up against the dark. It just sort of helps add the curvature that is there. It just implies a different plane, a different angle to the animal. And then with these dark marks that sort of curve over the top and the lines going up that are curved in different directions, it all just sort of helps add to creating the different dimensions of the way that this croc is built. The only Carrie, hello. I came from James's stream. You are so talented. Oh, thank you so much. And your drawings are absolutely beautiful. Oh, thank you, Carrie. I really appreciate that. Hello, welcome to the channel. And that's so nice of you to say. Thank you. Yeah, James is very good to me. He does give me shout outs, bless him, on his channel. And sends people over. I really appreciate that. Anyway, I appreciate you coming by and saying hello and saying such kind words. Thank you. Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Don't tell him I said that. No, he knows. He knows. I appreciate him. Right, okay, so where's my warm grade 2? Just go over this bit. So this is this bit here is the back side of this one on this side of the head. So it's going to have slightly different colouring. The temptation is to do it exactly the same as this one so that they match. But that's not how it looks. The back side of this one will have this colouring, so you have to go in and give the colouring that is actually there and not what you think should be there or what you wish was there. So I'm just sort of trying to Morning, Artsman. How are you? I loved your drawing this morning. That Medusa slash Cyclops thing in all those bright colours. That, I loved it, honestly. I really, really loved it. That sort of ticked all my boxes for dark and twisty weird stuff. You're doing okay, a bit tired. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. My husband came back home yesterday after being away for a week in Ireland. So he was over there for New Year, and so it was nice to sort of have him home. He sort of flew home in all the storms and everything, and he said it was quite a bumpy ride, but it's just nice to have, as I was saying to him this morning, I was going to say to him, oh, it's nice to have another responsible adult back in the house, and then I changed it to, it's good to have a semi-responsible adult, extra semi-responsible adult in the house. So, yeah. Just for someone else to sort of like take the load. It is good to have them back. Yeah, it's just like running a house and looking after sick animals and 4 grown-up children, admittedly, but everything falls on your shoulders when you're left on your own. And so you sort of feel that even if everyone's pulling their weight sort of thing, you still just sort of feel that weight. And so it's just good when the other person comes back that you share that sort of responsibility, because while he's been away, Mango has our dog, our little Yorkie Terrier. She has not been good, and so we've been dealing with that. Because of course she got sick over New Year. I think I mentioned to people who came over for the writing stream on January the 1st, Mango, our little Yorkie Terrier, from Boxing Day, she started being sick at night. Only at night. And she wasn't having diarrhea or anything like that, but she kept being sick at night, and it went through a range of colours and content without going into too much detail. And then after a few days, it sort of settled down to just like this yellow bile all the time. Morning, Faisal. Hello. Oh, thanks, Carrie. Yeah, we hope so too. I mean, fingers crossed. But she seemed fine in herself throughout the day. She was fine in herself. She was like, come on, you're late feeding me. You know, she had an appetite. She wanted to eat. Everything seemed absolutely fine. She didn't have a temperature. Her tummy wasn't bloated. She didn't seem to be in pain. She was her normal self. But there was this vomiting at night. And we thought, well, we'll see how she goes. She seems fine, so I'm not going to worry too much about her. But then on Saturday, this Saturday just gone, so the day before New Year's Eve, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, she started vomiting. And we was like, she normally only gets sick at night, and she vomited quite a lot through the day. And I was like, well, this is typical. It's Saturday. If we contact the vets, it's going to be an emergency vets. It's going to be a heck of a lot of money. But she seemed fine apart from the vomit. There was still no diarrhea. She still seemed quite bouncy. And we were like, right, okay, what we'll do is I went out and bought some chicken, and I thought we'll put her on a really bland diet. Perhaps it's something to do with her food that's making her sick. So we put her on chicken. We were like, we'll keep her on chicken until the vets open on Tuesday morning, because obviously Monday was New Year's Day. And we'll see how we go. And that seemed to help some. But then she started vomiting again, and it was like, oh, okay. So Tuesday morning, I rang the vets, and we managed to get her in that afternoon for an appointment to see the vet, and he gave her a full workup, said she seemed absolutely fine, tummy was soft, couldn't find any tenderness, temperature was fine, seemed fine. So he said, I think she's got gastritis. Which is an inflammation of the stomach. And it sometimes happens to older dogs, but we can give you this omeprazole, which is a human drug to protect the stomach. It helps reduce acid. It's meant to sort of stop vomiting and things, or at least help. And see how you go with that. But because it's not licensed for animal use, because it's basically a human drug, you need to sign this form. And so I signed this form, and they said these are the things you need to be aware of. Ironically, a tablet that is meant to stop vomiting has a side effect of vomiting, which is typical. So he says, if you notice anything different, if the vomiting gets worse or the diarrhea gets worse, stop the medication immediately. So I was like, okay, we'll give this a try, sort of thing. So we came home, and on the Wednesday we gave her first dose, because we didn't want to give it to her Tuesday evening in her last meal of the day and then her have a bad reaction to it and the vets would be closed. So we waited until the Wednesday. We gave her the dose of omeprazole, and I mean, obviously she seemed fine, like she does every day. And then Becca was woken up that night by mango vomiting, and there was blood in it. So I got up the next morning. Becca sort of left me a message on, she sort of texted me, so I'd see it as soon as I woke up. And when I woke up, I went downstairs, and she'd pooed in the house. And there was a mixture of diarrhea as well as normal stuff, but there was blood in it. So called the vets and explained the situation, and they said, right, take her off the omeprazole, because clearly she can't have that. And take her off her painkiller as well, because she has painkiller for her arthritis that she's got in her back legs, and see how she goes. And that was yesterday. Well, overnight she vomited again. So, but this time there was no blood, and she had gone to toilet in the house again overnight, but this time it had gone back to being nice and solid, and there was no blood in it. So clearly the omeprazole was the thing that caused the bleeding. And so now Becca and I are sort of like, because we've done a lot of research, we've been at Dr. Google, obviously, and we've learnt that omeprazole can sometimes irritate. If you've got like an ulcer or something that's pre-ulcerous, it can cause that to sort of like bleed. So we wonder if she's got something like that going on. But the vets have also said that it could be some older dogs have this thing where they vomit during the night, just because acid production gets higher, or there's a condition. It did say what this condition was. I can't remember it. I had such a influx of information sort of thrown at me in this vet's appointment. So anyway, we've got to ring them back again today to let them know how she is. So obviously we can tell them that the vomiting did stop and the blood seems to have disappeared, but she doesn't quite seem herself today. So she does seem a little bit sort of sad today. So we'll phone the vets, hopefully sort of get her seen, because it's the weekend again. It's just Do you know what I mean? It always happens at the weekend. And let me tell you, vets, we are so in the wrong job. To walk through the door, to have an appointment, we got a 10% discount off the price because we belong to the Healthy Pet Club, where we pay them a certain amount every month. So we got 10% off. But to walk through the door at the vets, before they prescribe anything, before they do any examinations, is £51 just to walk through the door. I was so shocked. So shocked. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 51 quid? Just to walk through the door? The last time we'd had... I mean, this just goes to show the last time we actually had to make an appointment for the vet because our animals have been quite healthy. It was like £30 just to walk through the door, and that was a couple of years ago, and now it's 51. Medical stuff is expensive here too. Yeah, I know. It was just... vet bills are just... It's shocking. It is really, really, really shocking. So... I don't know. We did try... The vet also did say that because we feed her at 7 in the morning, 12 midday and 5 p.m. in the evening, she has sort of like 5 hours between her meals throughout the day. But then she goes from 5 p.m. at night all the way through to 7 o'clock the next morning, which is 14 hours. So it might just be that she's really, really hungry, and as an older dog, she just can't cope with waiting that long. So suggested that we give her a little snack about 11 o'clock or midnight, just to sort of try and tick her over, but that didn't seem to help at all. We tried that and she was still vomiting and bringing up bile around about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. So your dental insurance is horrible and doesn't even cover hardly any of what I need it to. Yeah, I mean, the whole medical insurance thing is different in America, isn't it? So we don't have that system over here, but I know that over in America your bills for things are ridiculous, and having to get approval from your insurance before you can have some of the simplest things, I think is just ridiculous. Oh, I need my the burnt sienna, don't I? For these lines. I mean, over here you have the choice. If you can find one, you can get an NHS dentist, if you can find one, but it's really hard for people to even get that now. But private dentists are incredibly expensive. Incredibly. We're lucky that when we moved to this area, we were able to get in with an NHS dentist. And their prices for treatment, you know, like fillings or root canals, things like that, aren't as expensive for the way that a lot of the private dentists can cost a lot of money. Or to even see a medical person takes forever. Yeah, exactly. It's just... Mind you, the waiting lists over here aren't fun. Waiting lists over here are appalling. You can wait years to see a professional, depending on what it is that your what your issue is. I know that when we knew that there was something different about Jack, our youngest, I mean, we suspected autism from the get-go, because you just know, don't you, as a parent, you have that thing. And he wasn't, he was 2 years old when I literally had a complete and utter sort of, I can't cope with this anymore, because he couldn't talk, and he didn't start talking properly until he was about 4, and which is obviously quite delayed, and so he would get frustrated because he couldn't communicate properly, so he would punch and kick and attack me, very much so, all the time. And it was such a difficult time for us to be in, and I can remember going to my health visitor and saying, look, there is something not quite right. I think he's got autism. And they were like, oh, well, we'll do a referral to you. Over here in the UK, we have this thing called CAMS, which is Child and Adult Mental Health Services. Child and Adolescent Mental Health Services. And they were like, well, we'll do you a referral to them. So you think, oh, thank God, I'm finally going to get help. And you eventually get this letter through, and your appointment is in 6 months' time. And it says in this letter that this is just you're not going to get anything on this first appointment. It's just for you to meet and for you to explain the initial situation, and then you'll be referred on to whoever they feel should help you the best. So we had this, it was called a connections appointment or something weird like that. So we waited the 6 months for that. So he's 2.5 at this point. And so we have that appointment, and they sit and listen to us, and we're begging for help, begging for someone to help us because we can't communicate with our son. And they're saying to us, because he wasn't talking, he would point at what he wanted and we would just get it for him because it was the easiest thing. And they were telling us, don't do that, because he won't talk as long as you keep doing what he asks. You've got to make him talk, so don't respond to his pointing. We'll send you another appointment. And that was hell, because our next appointment wasn't for another 6 months. And so for 6 months I refused, I started to refuse to respond to his pointing, but I got kicked and punched so much. I was like, sod this. No, it's all right for you to say this, but I'm the punch bag here. So absolutely not. And so I responded to whatever he pointed at, just to sort of make my life easier and to stop him from being so upset as well, because clearly, he was getting quite upset that I wasn't responding when I had before. And we went to the next appointment, so we'd waited a whole year by this time, so it was 3. And we went and we saw a professional. And they were like, well, what do you think it is? And I said, well, I think he's got autism. And they were like, yes, well, we don't actually diagnose autism in this county until a child is 7 years of age. So what we'll do is we'll keep seeing you, and we'll keep monitoring, and we'll see how he goes. And I was like, really? Until he's 7? He's now 3. Are you telling me I've got to wait 4 years before you will officially diagnose him? Because until you actually get a label, you can't actually get the help that they require at school or nursery, because they can't provide unless they have an official label. And so every 6 months we would go round to this place, sit down, tell them what our life was like. They referred him to a speech and language therapist, which took another year, and he finally started to talk, aged 4. And his first word was "what?" His first word was what? Then it was dad. Then it was mum. And then it was no, which he used quite a lot. No. We were so glad when he started talking. And yeah, we spent, until he was 7, a lot of difficult years, but we was like holding on to this magical age of 7, thinking, right, when it turns 7, we'll get the diagnosis, everything will be fine, everything will, you know, we'll get the label, we'll be able to get the help that he needs at school, because he was having loads of problems at school. And yes, we just thought, you know, things will change then. Well, when he got to 7, they decided that they thought he also had, possibly from all the records that they'd kept, they thought he might have ADHD, not autism. So they said, what we're going to do is we're going to refer you to the ADHD assessors. But that meant going to the back of the queue. So we got sent to the ADHD assessors, and that took a couple of years. And they said, yes, he's got ADHD. But they said, I also think he's got autism. So they sent us back to the autism people, which meant we had to go to the back of the queue again. We finally got Jack's diagnosis. I'm going to wind this up. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot. We got Jack's diagnosis of autism when he turned 13 years of age. 5 years after when they said that he would get his diagnosis. And he finally got help. So from the age of 2 to the age of 13, we had 11 hellish years. Hellish years of not being able to communicate effectively with him. We was trying everything. We tried so many different things. And I ended up doing a load of research myself and finding ways to help him and communicate with him and work with him. And I think we provided more help to him than these medical professionals did. And we had to fight for everything. It was ridiculous. That thing I drew is called a beholder from D&D lore. Oh, really? Oh, I thought you'd done like a mashup, because I saw the like little snakes on the head and everything. I thought you'd done like a Medusa and a Cyclops. A beholder. Okay, I'll have to look that up. I have a cousin whose adult son is extremely autistic and can be violent. How is he doing now? Jack is doing great now, because we fought so hard, Nick and I, to get him the recognition that he deserved, the help that he deserved. So we got him an EHC plan, which helps them at school. So they get given teaching assistants and extra help and extra time in exams and things, because he also had dyslexia, so he couldn't read very well, and he used to get bullied an awful lot because everyone knew how to press his buttons. But we moved him to a new school, a special school, and he blossomed there. As soon as we got the diagnosis at 13, we took him out of mainstream, put him into a special school, because then we couldn't do it before because he didn't have a diagnosis. And he was finally happy at school. He made friends. He was happy. He got to know teachers. He started learning people's names. I mean, now he's doing great. He is at college. He is 20 now. He's at college. He's studying to become a car mechanic. He is the sweetest, loving boy. He is so affectionate, because for years and years, hang on, I want to do this other section. For years and years, Jack couldn't say, I love you, because he didn't understand the concept of love. Didn't know what it was. I mean, a lot of autistic people do struggle with emotions and being able to understand them. And so I would always tell him, even during the bad years, I would always say, I love you, Jack. I love you, Jack. No matter what he was doing to me, it was always, I love you, Jack. And sometimes I would be saying it with tears in my eyes because, you know, I'd just been beaten up or something. And he couldn't say, I love you. So he would say, I would say, I love you, Jack. And he'd go, I like you, Mum. I like you. And that was all I got for years and years and years. I like you. And then there was this one magical moment when he was like 9 or 10 where he actually turned around and said, I love you back. And it about broke my heart. It was just such a moment. It was such a moment that was. It was, I feel emotional just talking about it, but. And I can remember ringing everybody saying, guess what Jack's just said? Guess what he's just said? But there was a time there where I was like so worried because clearly he was becoming a big lad like his dad. I mean, he's 6 foot now. And I'm thinking, if we'd never got that diagnosis, if we'd never got the help, I'd have a 6 foot boy beating on me. And at one point when he was a lot younger, all I could see was my future was just going to be of me in like this abusive relationship that I could not escape. Because if you're married to someone who's abusive to you, you know, everyone tells you leave them. Don't stay in that sort of thing. You leave, you walk away. And I thought, I can't walk away from my son, so I'm going to be in this abusive relationship my entire life. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to have a hellish future. But as soon as we got the help for him, but it was wrong that I had to wait 11 years. 11 years. I knew from the age of 2. And we didn't get the diagnosis until he was 13. And so he missed out on an awful lot of school that he could by rights have enjoyed, but he didn't get to enjoy it because no one was willing to help him. So anyway, that's my big complaint about Jack's life. Lots of respect for you too. Oh, thanks, Osman. Yeah, it was tough, but I think these things only make you stronger. And there was a time there that we actually went to a support group for parents of kids that had got autism, and Nick and I were like, you know, what's the point of going to this support group? You know, what's it going to do? It's not going to do anything for us. It's just going to be a load of people moaning and complaining about their situation as well. And we were like, you know, what's it going to do for us? But actually it was the best thing, because, excuse me, we suddenly realised we weren't alone, because we didn't know anyone else that had a child with autism. We felt like we were the only ones. Nick was very often out at work each day, so I was the one that was at home that was sort of dealing with a lot of it. And it was just, wow, this happens to other people too. And we were finding out that everyone else had had these incredible fights to get a diagnosis, and the way the schools had treated their children. And it was like, you know, schools and politicians, everyone's forever saying, you know, every child matters, every child is important, you know, equality, all these big words were always being thrown around, but nothing actually seemed to, the behaviour didn't seem to match the words. You know, a lot was being said, a lot of hot air was guffed about what they would do for these kids. But when it came to it, it was like, well, are you really going to help? Or are you just going to sit there and blow more hot air up us? Because we don't see anything changing. So yeah, the support, if you ever get the chance to go to support group for anything and you're worried about, you know, what it's actually going to do for you, it's worth it just to go to find out that you're not alone for anything. Right. I need sort of darker green here, isn't there? Sorry, I get on my soapbox sometimes about stuff that I'm quite passionate about. My parents went through a lot with me too. Bless you and your family. What wonderful parents you are. What wonderful children you have. Oh, thank you guys. I don't say it because I'm looking for compliments or anything like that. I just sometimes talk about these things because I think other people are probably going through it right now, you know. And sometimes sharing these stories can be very helpful, because when we were going through it, we just, like I said, we just felt like we were alone, and that there was no one that was going to help us, and we had to do it all ourselves. And we very much felt like we were on our own, and that feeling of loneliness, and that you're shouting into a void and no one is listening, it's so depressing, it's so dark, it's so demoralizing. But I mean, the thing is that you're never alone. You are never alone. There is always someone going through the same thing as you, but you just don't know it until you start making noise. Who did you say, your cousin, whose adult son is extremely autistic, did they get help for their son? Did they have to go through like a battle, or to get it recognized, or did they have to sort of like, how are they dealing with things? Are they okay? You never know what people are going through, so treat everyone with respect. Absolutely. Amen to that. Women are good at getting things done, especially when it involves their kids. Yeah. Yes, they are. This is why James is so great, and this community is made around anxiety, and to see how far he's come and how much he's come out of this. Who have been so lovely to be a part of, and it's because he has such a lovely family around him. Oh, thanks, Carrie. Yeah, I mean, because a lot of the time when obviously we were going through this with Jack, there was 3 older siblings that we also had to take care of, because the twins were 3 years older than Jack, and James is 4 years older than Jack. So when they were little, they very much didn't always get as much attention and one-to-one time as they should, because we were so wrapped up in getting everything done for Jack and fighting for Jack. And I mean, they've never said that they felt like they missed out on stuff, because we tried as much as we possibly could to sort of give them individual time and make them feel special and stuff. But sometimes that's really hard. It does affect the whole family. It wasn't just affecting Jack and us, it was affecting the whole family. He's torn up her house. Been there. Been there. There were a few times Jack tore up the school as well. I remember one time he was at infant school, so he was 5, and I got a call one day from the school to say, Jack's gone off on one, could you come in? We need you to talk him down. And I was like, oh God, this was not the first call that I'd had like that. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll come in, see what he's done. And I went in. I was met by the head teacher, and she sort of led me down to the class and said, Jack has completely ripped up the classroom. Everything has been thrown all over the place. He's ripped art off the walls. He's ruined other children's art. And we've had to evacuate the children from the classroom because they can't be in it, because Jack's throwing scissors, he's throwing chairs, he's throwing everything. And I can remember going into this room, this big empty classroom, and there was Jack in the book corner doing this with books and everything. And the teachers were just stood there and they were videoing him with a video camera. And I was like, what are you doing? And they said, evidence. And I was like, evidence for what? And they never said what that evidence was for. And I'm thinking, well, I could do with that videotape so I could show Cams what's happening while he's at school. And I can remember going into Jack, and the place was it was like a tornado had gone through there. And I apologise to everyone who has actually had a tornado tear through their home. And you'll probably say you don't know what you're talking about, but that's what it looked like. Like this destructive machine had torn through this classroom. And I could just remember standing there sort of gobsmacked. And I said to the teachers, well, what do you want me to do? And they said, well, obviously he needs to go home, but he needs to tidy everything up before he leaves. You need to tell him to tidy everything up before he leaves. And I was like, seriously? You think I'm going to be able to get through to him? Clearly he's upset about something. And so I remember going over to Jack and sort of trying to get something out of him, saying, Jack, it's Mum. What's the matter, darling? What's the matter? And I just remember the look that he gave me was just like, you've got to remember, he's only been talking for about a year at this point. And I can remember him just looking at me as if to say, don't ask. And I knew better than to force the issue and to try and get a decent answer out of him. And I was like, well, we need to go home, darling. And I said, but we've got to tidy up before we go, because everyone else needs to use the classroom. It needs to be safe for everyone else to use the classroom. And he refused to do it because he was so wound up. He was so angry about something. I never found out what it was, what made him so angry. But I ended up clearing everything in the classroom, and the teachers videoed me clearing everything up in the classroom. I was crying my eyes out at this point because I felt so humiliated and so embarrassed, and no one was helping. And I still don't know what's happened to that videotape. But yeah, I had lots of calls like that. In the end, it almost became run-of-the-mill. But that was obviously when he was a lot younger, but there was some moments where it just happened so often. I was just like, nah, no point getting tidied up. No point getting upset now, because you've seen this, you've done this before. I am serious, Carrie, yeah. And no, it wasn't okay. What a bunch of idiots, yeah. But yeah, we had that quite a few times. But I can remember that the teacher being so cross that Jack had ripped someone's art off the wall and tore it into shreds. He'd not targeted this child's piece of art. It was just there, and he just ripped at it and pulled it off. And I'm sorry that he ruined someone's bit of art, but they were like, this child was so proud about it. What do we tell the parents? And I'm like, well, tell them that you didn't know how to cope with dealing with my son. And that happened, and I'm sure they'll understand, but you... There were many occasions. And then there was a time I had to sign a form giving them permission to physically restrain him. So that was hard. So yeah, lots of fun trying to make him fit into a mainstream school that were not prepared to accept that he had anything wrong with him because he didn't have an official diagnosis. But the waiting lists were so long with CAMS, it was like fighting a losing battle there. And then we got tossed from one department to another. So yeah, fun times. Not. Have I written about my experiences in a book? It would be one heck of a long book, Hoss. Do you know what? No, I didn't. Oh, hang on. Let me just have a text from my brother. Hang on. Oh, that's fine. No, I didn't think... There were a few times people told me to do it. And I was like, that whole saying, truth is stranger than fiction? There was that applied, but I also thought if I included everything, people would not believe me. People would not believe me. They just wouldn't believe that this was happening. And I thought if I did say everything and gave my official feelings and thoughts, what if people came at me, like these official departments all came at me and wanted to take me to court for libel or slander or something like that. And I was like, well, if it's true, but what could I do about waiting lists, So you have paranoid schizophrenia, not sure how it's spelled. So growing up with that was interesting. Oh, I can imagine. But you're on some great meds now. Well, that's good. That's good. So is that what you meant when you said your parents had some issues with you as well? Thank you for sharing. I think it's good for people to hear that, mental health isn't anything anyone should be ashamed about. It's no problem, that's why I don't work and live with your folks. That's alright. So do you find that, because you do a lot of art, so do you find that that helps with everything that you have going on? Actually help with things they can't do now because of their ages. Exactly. Exactly. Comes full circle, doesn't it, sometimes? The art does help relax my mind. Cool. Good. I have found art so helpful for like my mental health, because I've been on, like, as I'm sure you can imagine, I'm on anxiety and depression meds that I had since my kids were little, because of, it was just so much. It was just so much for me to deal with and to try and cope on my own. Well, not on my own because Nick was there, but you know what I mean. One of us had to work. Yeah, so I've been on, I'm not ashamed to tell people that that's what I'm on, because it helps me. I did try to come off them once. You know, you sometimes go to your doctors and you have one of those medication reviews and they go, oh, how do you feel? Do you want to still keep taking this medication? And lots of folks were on meds. Absolutely. And I was like, do you know what? I feel absolutely fine. Do I really need to keep taking these anxiety depression meds? I'd really like to maybe try and come off them and see how I am. And this was like 5 years ago or something. And so the doctor was like, yeah, great, okay, I'll help you come off them. This is how I want you to sort of wean yourself off, because you've been on them for years. And I slowly came off them. I weaned myself off properly with my doctor's advice, and thought I was doing great for about a month. And then, woo, I just went straight down again. And I can remember sitting on the couch, like literally numb, staring at nothing, and Nick sitting next to me and saying, you're really scaring me now, because you just don't seem to feel anything. And I was like, do you think I ought to go back on my tablets? And he was like, yeah. So went back to the doctors, got back on the medication, and yeah, so much better now. But yeah, I mean, there are some people like my mum who she hates taking medications, and so I don't know, it's almost like she feels that it's an admittance to a weakness, but it's like, well, no, if you had a broken leg, you'd wear a splint. If you are diabetic, you take insulin because you need it. And it's like, if you don't have the right chemicals circling in your brain, then you need that extra help. There is no shame in taking a tablet that makes you function as a human being, to be able to be around other people, to create relationships, to be able to enjoy life and find joy in your life, no matter how you manage to find it. But my mum is like if she's got something wrong with her and I say, oh, well, maybe you ought to go to the doctor's, mum, and see if they can give you something for that. Oh, I'm not going on any more tablets. And it's like, why? And she's like, oh, I don't want to take any more tablets. No, I already she takes one. Right, she takes one. She takes like a blood pressure pill. And she's just like, no, I'm not taking any more tablets. No, I'm not doing that. No. And she's so bad about it. I mean, now, I think because of her dementia and stuff, she probably does take some other meds. I don't know what she takes because the care home deals with all that. But, yeah, it's, I don't know. My dad gives me a shot every 2 weeks for mine, and I'm also on tabs. Oh, so you're not worried about needles then? I mean, needles don't really bother me either, but that's good that you have a shot that lasts for 2 weeks. Your shots are great. I think it's such an older generation thing to be a bit like that. Do you know, it might be. I don't know, but I would like to think that I've raised my kids to understand that, because obviously all my kids have anxiety issues in various different ways, and I think I've raised my kids to understand that if you need help, you ask. You need help, you ask for it. You don't sit and suffer in silence. And, you know, so they always come to me if they need to talk to me about something, or we take them to the doctors if they feel they need you know, something extra. And it's always been a thing in my house that I've encouraged the kids to talk about their mental health, which is why James's anxiety gang thing I think is amazing, and that's why we support him so much, doing that online where he streams, and you know, he's created this community, and especially young men as well. Young men talking about mental health is such an amazing thing, because so many young men are susceptible to holding that sort of stuff in, and they're more at risk of the S word, suicide. I'm gonna have to say it. And so to have those little communities, those little pockets of communities where people can just go and know that they can talk to the other people in that community on like his Discord and stuff if they're having an issue, I think that's really, really great, because he's created something that I never imagined he'd create, but he has, and I'm so proud of him for doing that, and that's why we support him so much in everything that he does, because if it just helps one person, then he's done an amazing thing. And that's why I think everyone talking about mental health really, really matters, because it's that whole thing about not feeling alone, because when you are deep in the, you know, in the black dog, as they say, then you know, you do feel like you're on your own, and that no one else is suffering like you are, and no one else understands, and you've got no one who you can talk to. And so to have these places where you can actually go and talk and be understood and know that no one is going to judge you is so important. It's so important, especially in this world where a lot of things are quite superficial. The shot lasts about a week and starts to wear off, but I get it done again for another week. Okay. I know James and Becca are very open with it. I always make sure in every Twitch community I'm in, everyone knows that they can come and talk to me. Oh, that's great, Carrie. Excellent. Hello, Tea Fairy. Everyone say hi to Nick.
Hello, Nick. We should say hi to Nick.
Yes, thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody.
He says Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. That's good, Carrie. Excellent. You don't stream, right? Okay. There's a streamer called Star Freckles. Oh, what a cute name! Star Freckles, who's a mental health advocate. She's my go-to streamer during the day. Oh, that's amazing. Let me write that down so I can check her out. Star Freckles. That's quite a cheery name. I like that. Where do I put my pen? I think you'd like her. Okay. What does she do? Is she like is she art, or is she a gamer, or what does she actually stream? Is she like a variety streamer? Sorry, while I just have my sip of tea. Oh, she does art. Okay, what sort of art? Is she painter, graphic designer? Does she do it? Is she like a digital artist, or realistic animals? Oh, okay, right. I will check her out. Traditional. Excellent. I will definitely check her out then. Right. I feel I've been talking more than drawing this morning. I'm so sorry, everybody. I think I need a little bit. No, this brown actually. You know how sometimes you just get on those soapbox moments, don't you? And I feel, because I've not streamed all week, I've had a lot to say. I normally get this out every day. It's been great. Glad to hear you talk. Thanks. Struggles. Don't apologise. Okay, I won't. I think that's my thing. I don't really talk about my childhood or the way I was raised, but it was very much a be seen and not heard sort of thing. So when I do talk and express my opinions, I sometimes feel very uncomfortable if I talk too much, because I feel I'm taking up too much of the room and it's someone else's turn, sort of thing. And it's like, I know I shouldn't feel like that, because that's not the case. But it's, yeah. I was not allowed an opinion as a child. So I'm kind of looking more at this sort of dark green here. We wouldn't come around if we didn't want to hear you. Oh, thanks. You're very likeable. Oh, thanks. Don't do well with compliments either. You should ask my husband. Oh my god. I mean, who is good at compliments? At receiving them, right? Because it's like that thing, where they say, if like another woman comes up to you and says, "Oh, I really like your top," you'd immediately go, "Oh, this old thing? Oh, it only cost me like £2 from some bargain basement thing," or something like that. You always sort of try and minimise it because you can't deal with compliments. What's that? Compliments. Oh dear. There's this funny thing where we have to minimise when people try and pay us a compliment. Right, these are quite gritty areas. My husband Nick will say things to me many times, like, if I show him my art and I say, "Oh, I've just completed this piece on stream," and I'll go and show it to him. I'll say, "What do you think?" And he'll go like, "Oh my god, you're so amazing. That looks almost lifelike and everything." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, but I did this bit wrong, and I did this bit," and I feel I have to point out all the faults and everything. Or like every day he will tell me, because this seems really odd to say this, because I don't believe it, but that makes it sound like I'm fishing for compliments. No, that's not what I'm doing. Nick will say to me every day, "I love you, you're beautiful." He'll say it every single day. And I'll just go, "Yeah, okay." And he'll say, God, you can't take compliments, can you? And this is what he says to me literally every day, because I know I can't. I just can't deal with compliments. Which is nice that he still says that after like, God, 26 years? Got married in 97. It'll be 27 years this year. Oh my God. Oh my God, getting so old. I said to him last year, I said, we have been married now longer than we were ever single. That's a scary thought. Oh, I know what I was going to show you guys. I got myself some art books. You know, I said I bought some art books with my Christmas money. I'm going to show you. So the first one I got, because I'm very much into doing my ink drawings, because I've really enjoyed doing those. So I got this pen and ink drawing workbook on drawing trunks, trees, posts, roots, foliage and landscapes, sort of based on them, by Rahul Jain. And that's very good. So that's just like, literally guides you through step by step on how to draw certain things. So the last thing I drew, because I've been working my way through it, let me find the bit that I did. So I did this old trunk here. So it's just sort of like looking at shadows and the rough textures of the barks, and putting in a little bit of ground cover and stuff like that. So got that. It's just about drawing simple landscapes. It says the pen and ink, no prior experience or any fancy drawing pen is needed, just pick up an ordinary pen. And yeah, you can do it. You can just do it with a normal big pen. You can use anything you like, but this has been really good. So I got that. That was the first one. And then I got something on a very similar vein. So this is the big pen and ink drawing workbook with a burger by Alfonso Dunn. He does a lot of instructive pen and ink stuff. So that there's a lot of stuff in here about pencil strokes and how to create texture. So like, you know, like fish scales, snake scales, and just looking at the different way form is created. And at the back you get the actual drawing exercises. So we've got garlic, scribbled eye, a hat, a calla lily, beetroot, makeup brush, a striped bow. I think that would be quite a fun one to draw. A striped hat, a hammer, a mushroom, an orange, a lettuce, because you know you might want to draw a lettuce, who knows, a spoon, a wooden bucket. See, and now this is where it gets to my sort of stuff. So a dog, a bunny wabbit. I think let's look at a cute bunny wabbit. I'm looking forward to drawing that. A tree, another lily. There's a tree. A boulder, because you know you might want to draw a boulder. glass jar, a braid of hair, which might be helpful for my human drawings, which I struggle with intensely still, a toucan, an eye using stipple marks, so just dots, which I think will be interesting, a nose, which I can never draw. I can never draw a nose. A fishy, a bird, a putty tat, an old work boot, the house. I like the look of the house, obviously the burger that's on the front page. And that's it. So 100 drills and exercises. So that's the pen and ink workbook by Alfonso Dunn. But then my favourite one of all, which was the most expensive one. Now I want a burger. Yeah, I know. Do you know I did burgers for tea for the kids last night? It smelled delicious. Noses are hard, so are hands and feet. Oh, don't even get me started. Hands and feet. Right, this one. Mythical Beasts, an artist's field guide to designing fantasy creatures. This is amazing. And on the back, look, got this lovely sort of kraken, which is like so cool. So it starts off with like, they got all these different designers to show how they would go about designing something. So like for this guy, it's a chupacabra. So that's the final design of how they did it. And they talk you through their field notes of the things that they imagine it might have. So they make little studies of all the different creatures and maybe the different hands or the eyes or the scales or whatever. And then it goes to, like say, looking how you're going to design the claw and thinking of the bone structure that is underneath what you're going to draw, and just thinking about how you would plan that out. And it just shows you how it goes from like the simple sketch at the beginning to work it up to that, and then thinking about texture, about how you're going to draw that texture. And I just like how it's like step by step, because I keep saying, you know, I want to draw my own fantasy creatures, and I just like this idea of working things out step by step. That was like sweet corn, didn't it? So then it goes to like their design process. So they start thinking about poses and the different ways they might want it to look dramatic and what would be the best pose. So they go through poses. And then they go through, like, obviously which side you're going to be looking at the animal from, and if it has different features at the back to the front. A bit more on poses. And then they even go into subspecies, so if there was different types of this chupacabra. So they just make these different ones and different aspects, and then tie it up into the final design of what they come up with and how they paint it and everything. And they do that for all these different animals. It's a really thick book. It's about 400 pages. So that was right up my strata, as they say. I've got one more book that is meant to be coming this weekend. So I've scheduled into my what's that book called? This is, sorry, Mythical Beasts, an artist's field guide to designing fantasy creatures. It's by 3D Total Publishing. I think it was about £30, this book. I don't know how much that would be in dollars. Probably about $40. I don't know. But it's really, really good. And I love it. I sit and read a chapter every night. And for my sort of like, hang on, let me grab my tea before it goes cold. I sort of do, I've scheduled into my to-do lists every day art practice. So not just the stuff that I do on the stream, but I do a little bit of art practice of fantasy drawing or the trees or whatever that I'm working through on that day, and just sort of doing some extra art practice every single day. You're going to look that up on Amazon. Yeah, do. It's such a good book. Nice coffee table book as well, I think. But the good thing about it as well is that there's like 30 different artists in there, so there's different types of art. So, brush pen, painting, pen and ink, anything. It's a really good book. I only saw it because I was watching a TikTok, and I was literally just, scrolling, as I say, I won't keep doing. And I just happened to catch the cover as this person was talking about it just before she turned the page, and I was like, oh, hang on, what was that? That looked interesting, and scrolled back down and watched the entire thing, and I was like, oh my god, I've got to get that book. So, it was Christmas, and I had a bit of Christmas money. It's definitely well worth it, Artsman. Absolutely. Right. Let's get back to this. I need a little bit of this gold, because if I don't put it in, it's just going to look odd. There we go. The book that I'm waiting for is actually an artist called Luke Eidenschink, I think his name is. He's from Arizona, and he's just on a Kickstarter of all his pen and ink drawings, and he does fantasy ink drawings. And you've just bought it. It was only $26. Oh, that's amazing. Excellent. Woohoo. Amazon Prime, is it coming tomorrow? So yeah, this guy called Luke Eidenschink, and he'd done this Kickstarter, and I'd seen this other artist opening up his book that she'd had delivered because she'd invested in the Kickstarter, and it looked amazing. And I thought if I could just take one or two and just sort of copy and just sort of study how we created that picture, excuse me, that would be amazing, because it's all education, isn't it? It's all education and learning new things, and that's I'm a big advocate of doing that. And I've just realized I've enabled you. Just enabled you to go spending on Amazon. Happy to serve. But yeah, so his book is coming. His main copies were like £50 for this book, and I thought with shipping as well it was going to cost me like £75, and I was like, oh god. And then he just happened to mention that he'd got a couple of copies of the book that had really minor imperfections on them, and so they were going for a lot less, so I got one of those. Because I thought, I can deal with a little crease, I can deal with a folded page, that's fine. If it's a minor imperfection, I can deal with that. So I got it for a lot less, and then the shipping wasn't so shocking to wait for it to come over from America. So it should arrive this weekend. So fingers crossed. So cool though, can't wait to check it out. You'll love it when you get your hands on it. It's such a the book feels so nice. That's a silly thing to say, but it's a quality book. An actual book, but it just feels so nice, and it's got that lovely gilt highlighting on it, and the drawings and the information and the thought processes that each artist goes through to create certain bits and pieces of the drawings. Right, okay, this is the thing, right? So as an artist, I'm always interested in how other artists do things. So I used to think that the way you create a picture is you think of it, then you draw it, right? If you're just doing it from your imagination, you think, yeah, okay, I kind of fancy drawing this, and you put it down on paper. But these other artists are showing me that there are many, many, many different ways of creating art. So don't forget to look up a beholder. I will not. Let me write that down, actually. And let me just grab a pen. I'll put it under star freckles. I never thought that I should research what I'm about to draw. And when I think of it like that, you want me to draw a beholder? Oh my god, right, okay. Oh, right. I never thought I had to research what I had to draw, and it's such a strange idea. I thought, why was that not obvious to me? Right, am I allowed to get a reference picture, Artsman? I mean, I've kind of got the image in my head of what you drew. Am I allowed to Google? Okay, thank you. Right, hang on. Beholder. Forgotten Realms. Okay. Oh, there's lots of different ones. Okay. A Dungeons and Dragons beholder. Right. Okay. Let's do that. Right. Let me just make sure the paper is centered. Right. Okay. So we'll do the eye first. Let's draw this quite big. I feel that this needs to be big. No, don't fade on me. Right, so we've got like teeth. Teeth down there. And then we have weirdo teeth that come here. How does it close its mouth? Its teeth look like this. Great difficulty, no doubt. Stop fading on me. Right, so you have some sort of... There's this big tongue in here. Quick shading, quick shading. So what role does a beholder play in, is it like see the future or something? What does it do? They have a lot of powers, but very insane and evil. Destroy. It's just D&D stuff, right? Okay. I mean, they do look evil. They don't look like, you know, they're the friendliest stuff. Right, and then here at the end. And how do they get around? Do they just sort of like float around or something? Because they don't seem to have like a body or anything. Do they just like just appear? I feel like this needs to have like more shading and more details, like it needs scales or something. Yours had a lot of detail in. How do I get closer to that? Yeah, there's like some sort of scaly texture, so I'll just have to do it quickly. Shooting magic out of their eye stalks. They float around. Okay. So the fact that you know this tells me that you must play some D&D. So what's your character? What sort of character do you play? If you don't want to tell me their name, what sort of character do you play in D&D? I still haven't got around to playing it myself. The one I've got in front of me here is sort of like dark grey, black and red. Is that standard? Is that meant to look like? It did when you was younger, but you haven't played in years. You was the dungeon master of your group. Oh, so does that mean you were the one that got to make up all like the stories and... There you go. A beholder. It's not bad. It's great fun. Cool. Right, okay, now let me just see. I do actually need this here, just over this mouth part. Made up the adventures and quests, ran the game, played the monsters and NPCs. Cool. my middle son Jared, he plays D&D. He's not played it for a while. He used to meet up with a group of friends and they'd be gone. They'd disappear sort of like midday Saturday and not come back till like 10 o'clock at night. The games just go on and on and on and on. I think originally they used to meet up in one of those like a gaming store. Like we have a place over here called Games Workshop, you know, those sort of places. And they did that originally, and then they started meeting up at each other's houses to play. But they've not played for a while. I just think there's just been so much going on with, you know, Christmas and New Year. Everyone has so much to do with their families and things. It's just not played. There is a little bit of... That's my red here. I don't think I'll ever get around to playing it, if I'm perfectly honest. I have a full load, absolutely. Yeah. There's just always something else that requires attention. Where's that dark brown? Here we go. Just want this crease here where the crocodiles, where these horn bits and the bit that connects to the eye has just got a really sort of deep crease in it. So I just want to show that bit off. All adds to the different planes and surfaces of this lumpy bumpy croc. It's okay, I'll probably never play again, but I have good memories of it. Yeah. So I have a question, because this sort of thing intrigues me. So you say that you have paranoid schizophrenia. So how do you feel that is represented in, like, on TV shows and films? Do you feel like they represent it accurately, or do you feel like they're very wide off the mark and people don't fully understand it? I'll bet you could draw a great dragon. One day I will draw myself a dragon. And the only reason I asked that question is because obviously, you know, I was just thinking about Jack with his autism. Whenever we would see, like in a soap opera or something, a child clearly having difficulties, and they would be like, oh, our child, I think there's something wrong with our child, and they would go to the GP and immediately come back with a diagnosis of autism. And I think that doesn't really work that way. So I just want to know, do you think that we don't always think that autism gets accurately represented because it's such a wide spectrum, obviously, and there's clearly a wide spectrum as well with all mental health conditions. It just makes me wonder what your thoughts are as to you think the condition that you have, do you think it's accurately represented in shows and media? Because, I mean, clearly you're an expert at it because you live with it every single day and will continue to live with it every single day. So it's like, do they get it right? That's the question. I think it's probably represented better these days, but I know crazy people aren't represented well in certain movies, or at least they used to be. Yeah, I think there was very much one size fits all, especially in the past. I think they try a little harder now, especially in some of the newer stuff, but sometimes it's still not. I know for the sake of brevity that, you know, they leave out. I mean, you couldn't have a soap opera where a child being diagnosed with autism is a storyline and then you drag it on for 13 years. You know? I mean, everyone would be like, what's happening with that? Shouldn't that have been sorted out by now? So I know for the sake of brevity they sort of cut down on waiting times and things like that, but it seems that everyone knows someone who's been affected by mental illness or is themselves. Yes, exactly. I think everybody has it to some degree. We're all sitting on a little spectrum. For sure. Right, now this cheeky bit here. I need my dark brown for this cheeky bit. I think that's what is becoming more normalised and accepted. Yeah, well, I hope so. I really do hope so. Oh, right, so all these little scales and all these little marks are quite well defined by this dark brown, so I just feel a bit weird actually. Let's go with what I can see. I hope to be doing another writing stream, I think tomorrow. So, I think the same time as last Saturday. I'll probably do it around about 2 o'clock. So if anyone's around, I'd be happy to see you there. If you're not interested in writing, that's fine. Everybody likes the same things. I did my first one on New Year's Day, and that seemed to go quite well. I'm not in touch with the mainstream way of thinking, so I don't know. Are any of us in touch with the way of mainstream thinking? I'm not sure. Right, so I need some this green gold. Every time I think I'm in touch with what everyone's thinking, it changes. So, you know, sometimes it's more of an effort trying to sort of keep up with everybody. Me soft green. It would be so easy for me just to sort of do this and just fill in the whole colours, but if I do that, then I'm going to muddy the edge lines that I've got in, because they were quite defined here, so I'm just sort of trying to leave those quite clear and not go over them. There's a little bit of method behind it. Going to grab some coffee, might hop up as well, probably see you tomorrow. Okay, Artsman, thanks for joining me today, I really appreciate it. We've had a good chat. Enjoy your coffee and I will see you tomorrow if you're able to pop by. Today is my first day where I don't actually have to go and look after my brother's cats today, because he's come back from France today. So he's been away since, when did he go away? The 23rd of December he went away to go and stay with some friends in France over Christmas and New Year. And so he asked me if I could look after his precious little fur babies, who I adore. He's got two Maine Coon cats that are brother and sister, and so I was like, yeah, sure. But I don't mind looking after them. It's lovely because when you go over there you get such fabulous cuddles from them and everything, but you don't realise how much it takes out of your day driving over, and then, you know, obviously you need to spend some time with them, feed them, clear up any messes that they've made, because I had great fun with all the Christmas cards. Every time I disappeared, I got to one point where I just picked up all the Christmas cards and put them away, because every morning I was turning up and sort of collecting them up again off the floor. But yeah, by the time you get back home again, after you've been out doing the cats, you've lost a good couple of hours in the day. And I found that I was losing a lot of time each day because I was going across to look after them, and he got back this morning. That's who texted me when I was earlier, and I was just checking my phone, and I said I've got a message from my brother. He's come back now, so I no longer have to go over and do the cats. And it's like, I don't mind. It's fine, but I kind of feel like, okay, I've got my afternoons back now, and I have so much that I have to get done. I've got so much writing that needs to be done, so much other stuff that needs to be done, that like, yay, got my day back. This goes down to here, so let me just put that firm line in. Sorry, I've been busy today. That's okay, Faisal. That's okay. I think we're all busy. We've all got a lot going on. Sometimes it's nice just to have a channel on in the background, isn't it? Because I do that sometimes when I'm sat at my desk and just doing a little bit of practice art, or if I'm making to-do lists or whatever, I would just sort of put a stream on in the background, and I'm not really paying that much attention to it, to be honest. But I'm hungry. I've got I made a big portion of mango curry the other day, and I've got that waiting for me. I'm going to have some rice for my dinner, I think, once I've done this. I love mango curry. So nice. What's everyone else having for lunch? Is anyone having anything exciting? Oh my gosh, yum. I adopted my mango curry recipe from, I think there was a similar recipe in a cookbook called The Thug Kitchen. And I just sort of, there was a couple of things in it that I couldn't have, so I just sort of took them out and just sort of made it my own, and it's one of my favorite recipes. And everyone I share it with who's cooked it and tried it has really enjoyed it. So anyway, right, okay, that's where I'm going to leave it for today. You're going to have a barbecue. Oh, excellent. Love a barbecue. I had pasta for dinner with baked feta and cherry tomatoes. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. I love a cherry tomato. But I always have to cut them in half, because if you try and eat them whole, you get that whole explosion thing in your mouth. So, but that sounds nice. Okay, right. That's where I'm going to leave it today. So, I don't feel I've got much done today. I think I've probably done more talking than I've done art. But I'm glad that we got this section done of the head here, and we moved down here. I knew this one was going to take me quite a bit of time, because I'm literally doing every lump and bump and scale as carefully as I can. I can't get every single bit of detail, but I'm trying to let the human brain fill in the rest. I'm giving enough for it to fill in the rest. That's what I'm trying anyway. But yeah, so that's where I'm going to leave it today. Tomorrow, as I say, there will be a writing stream at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you're able to join me for that, I'd love to have you along. And we'll be carrying on writing the scary horror story that I started writing. It's lovely to be here. I will absolutely be back, and thank you for sharing your story. Oh, you're welcome, Carrie. It was lovely to have you along. It was nice to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you again. So have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. Do something nice for yourself, and I'll either see you tomorrow or I will see you on Monday. Oh, Faisal, gifted a tier 1 sub to Carrie. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. You're such a good guy to everybody on this channel, and especially to me. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate every gifted sub. But yes, anyway, thanks for being here with me today. It's been great company. We've had great chats. We've covered quite a few subjects. And I will either see you tomorrow or I will see you on Monday. So take care, guys. Bye.